Oh, nice. That worked.
Yeah, that worked. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
So, I'll start off by saying I'm not Christian or atheist.
Okay.
I'm actually a polytheist.
Polytheist, nice. I haven't talked to a polytheist before, so this is actually kind of exciting for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the reason why I hold that belief, and what I believe is you can call them whatever you want. There's I don't want to say the wrong word, but I think there's entomology, like evidence of that throughout history and migrational evidence of humans to show that a pantheon is more likely than monotheism, but it's spread out and the names have changed. So your Proto-Indo-European gods specifically. You know, like the word deity comes from Deus, which was the god. His name was Deus Patar, which meant sky father. And you can hear that in the word Jupiter. And even Zeus, Deus. So it's, whatever you want to call
it. I got you.
Yeah. And Zeus's original name was Zeus Perkinus, which goes with Deus Patar, if that makes any sense. So, if you want to call, the storm warrior god Ares or Yahweh or Thor, it's all the same thing, right?
It's all the same.
That's what I personally believe, and that's what evidence shows when it comes to the Proto-Indo-European migrations. But I hold this belief because I think if you just go from one god to two to three to four on who constructed the universe, not to say that they have a complete active role in it, but it's infinitely more possible the more gods you add, right? You wouldn't say one man built a town. You would say that a group of people built it.
Okay. Before I go on, I just want to let you know, I'm not trying to debate. I really just want to understand what you believe, why you believe, and how you came to understand that it's true. So that's pretty much it. And on a scale of 0 to 100, 0 being I have no confidence in this belief, I have all questions, and 100 being I have all confidence, absolute confidence, no questions. It's absolutely true. Where do you think you fall on that scale?
Definitely 50-50.
50-50.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be too sure of anything that is higher than us, right? People have personal experience, people have shared experience. I've had personal experience that led me to believe this. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean it's true, If the afterlife that I've subscribed to is real, I'll be and if it's not, I'll either be pleasantly surprised or I'll know nothing, right?
Okay. All right.
But I heard something that made me think about this, because a lot of people that I've spoken to, some people ask for physical evidence of God, right? We have symbols, we have words, but there's no physical place in our realm where gods or God, whatever you believe in, exists. Just like we have numbers, we wrote them down, we use them, we share the experience of numbers, but you can't physically show me where 8 resides. If that's a good analogy.
Can you elaborate on that? I think in some ways it can be shown, but I guess it depends how you look at it.
Yeah, because, we could say, oh, I see 5 things here, so 5 must exist. But some people have different words for it. Why we came to this conclusion is up to the consciousness of all humans, right? So whether the gods came to be because of our collective, or if we came to be because of them, that doesn't diminish that they exist.
Okay. Now, William, you said you're about 50% confident. Why is that higher?
Well, because I could be completely wrong, but I mean, there's no way. Just like we guessed that a black hole. We used math to find out that black holes existed way before we ever caught a picture of it, right? Because we didn't have the technology to do so. We could have been completely wrong. And just as we know now that they exist, but we can't measure the inside of a black hole because nothing escapes, that doesn't mean it isn't there, So I say 50% because, there's no real way for me to measure deity at this moment, right? So either it's only a matter of time, or it isn't, that we will have the way to come to a solid conclusion, whether that be in 1,000 years or 10,000 years, and so on and so forth, right?
Yeah. Is the fact is there any other type of evidence besides physical that supports your belief?
Like I said, everything that we experience, everything that we do is based on experience, right?
Is that your strongest? Is that your strongest driver of your belief? Is your experience?
Yeah, I mean that's anybody's strongest driver, and that's I feel like that is valid because everything we do is experience, right?
True. I would say, yeah, everything we do, yeah, that is an experience because it's an act of doing. I see where you're going with that.
Yeah. You could say reciprocity with the gods is an experience. Some people, and the reason why I hold to polytheism and not the Abrahamic monotheism is because they hold that God is this perfect being. The other gods, they don't hold that claim. So people, you can practice reciprocity with your gods all you want, and since they are not those perfect beings, they don't necessarily have to engage with you, right? But you could still live your life behind certain practices that are good. Not to say that they're necessary, not to say that having worship and religion is necessary to have a good way of living. It's just that some people choose that,
Yeah, okay. I see where you're going. I hear you. Is it possible to experience something that you may think is, or you that leads you to conclude it's something to do with the gods, and another person could have the same experience and they can conclude it's something else?
And that is possible, but it is all about what you've been taught your whole life as well. It could be the same thing. I hold a lot of different ideas, and none of them are based not necessarily true. They could be. I probably won't know in my lifetime for a fact. For instance, science is just a way to explain things we didn't understand previously, right? So you could say that it is a form of magic. It just has mathematical and evidence behind it, right? turning certain things into something more is a magical process. Not to say, but we have, and not by the Avada Kedavra magic. It's a magical thing that we as humans are able to do these incredible things. We use cobalt to power cars. That sounds like, we use crystals to magically power things, except we have the explanation to it.
Okay, I think I see what you're saying. So for you, the magic is the incredibleness or the amazingness of the feat or the result.
Yeah,
such as
it's only a matter of time,
or a car with a cobalt.
Yeah, and it's only a matter of time before we have the explanation for these things that we still don't understand.
Now, one thing about science is, and I'm not a scientist, by the way, so this is just my understanding. Yeah. And you seem to know a lot about it. Are you a scientist or in the science field at all?
I drive a truck and I just listen to a lot of science.
Okay.
Scientists talk about different things.
A lot of sciencey stuff. Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay, I got you. Well, from my understanding, the big thing with science is the ability to test different hypotheses and theories, right? And so and then there's a body of work, there's a lot of evidence that's produced, and then there's peer review and things like that. So, and then those peers test it as well, or they look at the work and maybe they already have experience with that, and then they either say yes or no. Yeah, and so that's how the consensus builds that something is true in the science sense. So if it's not because you said earlier that your belief in gods is not testable. So basically you're kind of saying, well, I'll probably find out after I die or when I die. Is that, did I hear that right? Okay. Or you won't. Either you will or you won't. Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you can think of that would increase your confidence from 50?
So I mean, I don't want to seem too zealous with it. You know what I mean? I guess I could say I feel strongly towards more than 50%, but but it would kind of be arrogant of me to claim that I know more than you know what I mean? I feel like I'm probably, not to toot my own horn, but I feel like out of any person who is religious or spiritual, I'm probably the most lax person you'll talk to about their faith.
Okay.
Because a lot of people can get pretty crazy.
Yeah, you seem pretty chill.
I believe in, just because, even if they started everything that, they are bodiless minds in a higher dimension that put everything into the works, doesn't mean they necessarily created us specifically. You know what I mean? Because Christians hold that Adam and Eve turned those two people, made everybody you see today and stuff like that, and that's just people having experiences with their deity and claiming it to be hard proof, but it's still just their own words, right? Those people had more confidence than I did, and they were willing to say it was 100% fact. When they had little knowledge, they had way less knowledge of how things work than we do today, right?
Yeah. If there was something that you ran across, or while you're driving, you heard something while you were driving that was evidence to your satisfaction that your belief is not true.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what that is, but
yeah,
you hear it, you see it, you read it, and you're like, yeah, that's pretty strong evidence. Do you have an idea of what that would be?
You're saying strong evidence to suggest that there is no higher dimensional beings.
Yeah.
What do I have an idea of what that would be? I'm honestly not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is why, and everybody has it, and like I said before, it doesn't really matter if we choose to try to make a connection with these beings, because they are, we could be doing it wrong anyway, you know what I mean? But but if and if they choose to interact with you, it's there's a certain feel, and that could just be chemicals in the brain. But like I said before, maybe we are, because the universe is a conscience, and everything that happens in the universe is it trying to experience itself, is a belief that some people have. And if that's true, our collective consciousness coming together to make these deities is what brought them to be. And in turn, we would be their gods too, if you know what I mean? So whether or not that's true and whether or not that diminishes that they are real, it's all, there's no real way to know at this point. And if you choose not to hold any of those beliefs, as long as you're a good person, right? Because there's a lot of people that hold these beliefs that are not the most savory of people.
Now, you had also mentioned that part of it's experience that drives people's beliefs, and then part of it is what people grew up with. That was another reason you mentioned.
Yeah, well, which is also, yeah.
If you, let me think of a way to ask this. Oh, I was just thinking of a way to ask this. If, is there anything that you learned growing up like any belief that you were taught growing up that later turned out to be not true?
Yeah, so I grew up with no religion at all until about 6. And then due to certain circumstances, I was raised Jehovah's Witness until about 16.
Interesting.
And I learned that was just a doomsday cult that was all about control and just using slave labor to further their finances. And so I was technically atheist for a little while, and then just certain circumstances brought me to this belief, right? I honestly came here logically, to be honest. It wasn't, and experiences that I had, and experiences that I shared with others. Certain things I told people, and they had a similar experience, and it ended up, and they ended up. I was studying the same gods that they were describing to me, telling me about, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
But yeah, the Jehovah's, that extremist evangelical Christian nonsense is venomous. It's poison.
It was okay. I see. And now I think one of the things is that are there any other beliefs that you have that you use the same process that got you to the conclusion that it's true?
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
Mm, like through experience? Are there any of the beliefs that you have that you determine were true through experience, or the research that you did?
Something similar. Like I said, everything we do is experience.
Yeah.
For instance, like, people with brown eyes and people with blue eyes will see the daytime differently, right? If you have brown eyes, the world doesn't seem as bright. If you are a man, yellows and oranges aren't as vivid. So there are things you might miss compared to someone else.
I honestly didn't know that.
Yeah, so women were primarily gatherers. Not to say that they didn't hunt as well, but they evolved to pick out riper fruit, and we did not, and men did not pick up that trait because we are better at tracking moving objects. So we gave up some colors, shades of colors, to a part of our brain to adapt to seeing quick moving like animals. So everything we see, and that's another thing, everything I experience will be different than what you experience. Everything I see will be different than what someone else sees. So I guess that's another thing that makes me say that I'm 50% sure, because it's more about.
Oh, you cut out there briefly.
Oh, sorry.
You said that last time. You said you're 50% sure because.
Because we all have these different experiences, but the shared experiences that some people have, kind of pull people towards certain ideas and beliefs, I guess, right?
Yeah.
And
I'm curious though.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you go. You finish your thought, and then I'll ask.
No, I wasn't sure anymore where I was going, so go ahead.
Oh, okay. No problem.
Yeah, I kind of forgot.
I was curious as. No, it's all good. It's all good. My curiosity is kind of going back to, like, when I asked you, do you use this same type of criteria to have belief in other things? And it sounds like you use like a different set of processes or criteria to come to your belief in the pantheon. Does that sound about right?
So
I'm wondering why that is. Like, why wouldn't you use this to say, I don't know, believe in aliens or something like that?
I believe in aliens too. So, and
I'm throwing stuff out there. Why I'm just throwing stuff out. Yeah.
So we can use the alien example, right? There are more stars in our observable universe than there are grains of sand, right? And each of those has at least one planet. To think that we're the only beings that exist is just anybody who believes that is just either doesn't think about that or holds a belief that we are the center of the universe. You know what I mean? And there's it takes a big ego to think that we're the only ones. Whether they have already existed or will exist, there's just too many variables to that. And that's like I said before, where it makes, if you do it based on variables, the more like beings that are higher than us you add, it's just more probable than one God, right? Same thing as there's so many planets out there that there has to be at least one other civilization besides ours. And we'll never know that until we figure out a way to travel faster than the speed of light, right?
And just real quick, when you say aliens, you mean higher life forms, like intelligent life,
like sapient life forms, yeah.
Okay, not say, and you're not talking about, say, like single-celled organisms somewhere, out there on a planet.
Yeah.
You're talking about okay, yeah. You're talking about
having similar conversations that we're having right now on their device that has a similar app to TikTok, right? It's just there's too many stars and planets out there not to believe that there definitely could be something like that.
Now, likewise, because I think you're right in the sense that that's probably not testable either.
Yeah.
Yet you can say, there's just, the universe is so big, there's so many planets, so many solar systems, so many stars, it just can't be. The odds of us just being alone are just by that is very, very, very small. Yeah. Now, is it possible that we could either be the first or the last?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And is it possible the ones before us have ascended to higher evolved past this realm?
I suppose. Yeah.
Because
I suppose
in a universe where anything is possible, everything is possible.
Now, I guess I would go back. So we can go back to your Pantheon example, and good analogy on the aliens, by the way. Thanks for fleshing that out with me. Now, and I'm kind of getting to the end of my questions. No
worries. I gotta go. I'm about to be inside.
Oh, you got
soon, so I gotta go too.
You got to dip anyway. Okay. So we'll make this the last question. And is it if it's not testable and it's not we're not able to test it to see if it's false or true, is 50%, or you said it was maybe a little higher, but we'll call it 50%. That's what you said earlier. Is 50% really an accurate confidence level?
I guess you're right, because I'm I guess I could say I'm almost 90% confident there's something else out there in alien wise. So I guess I could say the same thing about that. But I do have to go. I followed you, and I'll be back. We could have another conversation soon.
Yeah, man, that was a good conversation. Thanks for dipping in. All right, have a good one, William.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.
Take care.